Hi, this is Jeff from SimpleForexSystem.net, and this morning I am putting together a video that is in response to some questions that I've had from people who have been using Cynthia's trend and flat method and were wanting to know if I had incorporated AutoScaler into this, and if so, how it was working and what kind of settings was I using, and just generally trying to get some guidance on how to make the most out of their purchase. So I am going to kind of quickly walk you through what I've been doing, and I will tell you that it has been a pretty good week for what we're doing, and also for AutoScaler. So, for those of you that do not know, AutoScaler is a trade management EA that I brought to market about 6 or 7 years ago. And what it does is it allows you to automatically scale in additional trades once price begins moving in your favor after you take the initial trade. So if you are any kind of a decent trader and you have the ability to consistently spot and get into 20 or 30 pip trades, AutoScaler will help you turn those 20 and 30 pip trades into 60 to 100 or 110 pip trades. And that's all in the same move, because what you're doing is you're just simply adding additional trades as price moves in your favor. So with that out of the way, let me quickly show you the settings that I use on AutoScaler. What I do is I scale in 3 additional trades. Now, when you load AutoScaler, make sure, obviously, you want to have the check marks in those 4 boxes: enable alerts, live trading, DLL imports, and external experts, although I don't think that one's that important. If you don't have those on, it won't work. The EA will not work at all. Now, under inputs, leave the magic number alone. Your lot size is whatever your lot size happens to be. Now, as I said, I scale in 3 additional trades, and I keep them 3 pips apart. Now, you may need to make them 30 pips apart depending on your broker's price feed. Some people are actually going to 6-digit feeds now. And so you might need to add a 0, making that 30 pips to get an actual true 3 pips. But for just about everybody else, just the number alone will be fine. And you may want to go 4 pips. You may want to go 5 pips. It's up to you. But I use 3. I also turned the follow manual trade, take profit, and stop loss to true. They default on false. I turn them to true because I will set a take profit oftentimes. And when price hits that take profit, and this is based upon my original trade that I take, when it hits that, it closes out all of my trades. And because they're spaced out 3 pips apart, let's say, for instance, I take a 20 pip trade on my original trade, I get 20 on that one, then I pick up 17 on the next one, 14 on the next one, and 11 on the next one. Add those together, you get like 61 or 62 pips on a 20 pip move, which is not bad. For the remainder of the settings, they all default at 0 except slippage, which is at 2. I recommend you leave it there. And then basically we're good to go. And now up here also there's the auto trading button. You always want to have that turned on to green, that little green arrow or diamond or whatever that thing is. It's so small I can't see it anymore, but you want it green. If it's off, it's red. Okay, so you want to turn it on to green. You're good to go. It'll trade. So let's talk about what I'm doing in terms of using Cynthia's stuff and how I'm looking, what I'm doing looking for trades. I've kind of as I tend to do with her stuff, because she has very busy charts, and really I go for simplicity. I try to find the stuff that really works best for me, and then trim out the rest of it. And that's more or less what I've done in this case. You'll see down here at the bottom, if you're familiar with her material, this is the 0 lag MACD. And this is her 0 lag MACD. Now you may be thinking, hey, I can get a 0 lag MACD anywhere on the internet. Well, yes, you can, but it ain't going to work like this one. She's done something to customize this, and it really does work very well. And I've run it against 3 or 4 others that I have found floating around in Forex Factory and a variety of other places where they give them away for free. Usually, I mean, they steal them from somebody else and then they give them away for free. And none of them are performing the way this one has. So, I mean, this is a very quality indicator that she has put together here. And what we're doing is we're setting the indicator the zero lag on a 15-minute chart. Simple candlestick chart, 15 minutes. We've added the PSARs because those are actually a really good little way to set up things for stop losses and have an idea of how far you can allow a trade to run the wrong way before you really need to seriously think about getting out. But the primary tool here is the MACD. So we use that basically to determine direction of the trade. Because the 15-minute is a little bit more responsive to current trends than using the 4-hour, which is what she uses, on in her system. And there's nothing wrong with using the 4-hour, but we trade during a very limited time frame, 9 to 11 in the morning generally. And if we don't, if we can't find something in those 2 hours, we don't get trades. And so by using a shorter time frame on this, we are generally able to determine the most current trend, regardless of what maybe the overall trend might be, and then we try to see if we can't snag some pips out of it. So we use the 15-minute chart with the zero lag MACD to determine trend, and of course, if the line is above the zero line, which is the white line running through the indicator window, you're basically looking for buy trades. Trend is up, and if it's below the line, then you're looking for sell trades, and the trend is currently down. What we then look for, moving over here to the far left-hand side of the chart, we have a 5-minute chart up with the exact same indicator setup, which is the PSARs and the zero lag MACD. And what we're looking for there is, if we know the trend is up, we're looking for breaks above the line. If the trend is down, we're looking for breaks below the line, and of course some PSAR support is good. If we're buying, we want to see them green. If we're selling, we want to see them magenta, I guess is the color. And the first couple of times we did this, it worked out okay, but we found that there were a couple of problems that we had, which is a lot of times we would get into a trade, and the first thing would happen was price would go the opposite direction for 5, 10, 15 pips, whatever. So what we have now added is sort of the setup we have been using for a good long while in the trade room, which is certainly dating back to last year some point, which is we have a 1-minute and a 5-minute chart. And the 1-minute chart, we have the signal stochastic, which is an indicator that I had put together 3 or 4 months ago, and also the Renko signal AM, which we've had forever. And we have that both on the 1-minute, and we have it on 2-pip Renko charts. And the reason we have it is what we've been doing prior to introducing Cynthia's material into our trading regimen, is we were looking for spots on the chart where the 1-minute chart was either overbought at the top or oversold at the bottom, started giving off signals. The arrow is your signal on the stochastic, the little ball is more or less a signal on the Renko. And those would coincide with the same thing on a 2-minute chart. This is what we were looking for, and we were having some good success with it. I mean, a lot of the trades may not have gone 20 or 30 pips, but we were getting a lot of 10 and 12 and 14 pip trades that way. When we added, the Cynthia material into it, suddenly we found we're getting a lot of 20 and 30 pip trades. And we're missing some of these smaller ones because they are basically moving against what we were seeing in the 5 and the 15-minute chart. And so by skipping those trades, we weren't getting into trades that were either losers or really never went far enough to justify really getting into the trade. There's nothing I hate more than closing out a trade at like +2 or +3 when I'm shooting for 20 or 30. So let me just show you real quickly how this works. I've marked spots on the charts, and you'll be able to see hopefully you'll be able to see the time frames and whatever. Here on the 15-minute chart, it closed out. We had a sell signal. Actually, we were beginning to get a sell signal, beginning to cross over on the previous candle, which was moving up amazingly enough. But it did finally close and lock down at this point. If you move back over to the 5-minute chart, you can see that this is actually where it began, and I put the candle in the wrong spot. Basically, it should have been right back over here at about 76. This one should be over on one more candle to show the close of the 15-minute chart. Your entry would have been somewhere around 76, 77. And this actually coincides with what you're seeing on the chart right here. Same thing, around 2150, 2155, somewhere in 2150. I'm sorry, between 2150 and 2200, which is all basically right in the same area, right in through here. But we were getting sell signals, and so we basically had confirmation, I guess you would say, off of both the Renko and off the 1 minute that it was a good time to sell. So you could have gotten in anywhere in here, basically on the 5-minute chart, depending on when you're ready to jump in. If you wanted to wait that last candle, that's fine. And price dropped down to 49. Now, this is the end of the day on Friday. Okay, I did not take this trade. Just, I was done trading. In fact, I never even saw these charts until last night because I'd wrapped things up by about 11 o'clock Friday morning. So the this is just basically to show you what we're looking for on these trades, okay? But this has been a very, very successful setup for us so far this week. I'm going to pause the video real quickly, and then I'm going to bring up some basically what happened on the trades and let you take a look at it. So hold on just a minute. Okay, here we are. These are some screen captures off of my account. I have a cigar account that I trade. Basically, I try to build it up to $400 or $500, pull the money out, and I buy a bunch of cigars. That's how my wife lets me maintain this nasty habit. So on my cigar account, we had a couple of trades on Tuesday. This would be January 30th. Buy trade, we got in around 153.16. 6. That's your for your tenth of a pip thing. You can see AutoScaler got us in at 20, 23, and 25. Now these aren't perfectly 3 pips away because sometimes you basically get filled where you get filled, and in live trading that doesn't necessarily mean you're getting exactly 3 pips away. But you can see we got out over here at anywhere between 46.4 and 4700. That's where all our fills were at. Ended up totaling 101.5 pips. And trading, really, this is just a dime account, okay? I mean, these are just pennies we're trading, made $9.33. That should be a dollar sign, not a plus sign. And so that was the first trade on Tuesday. The second trade on Tuesday, we got in at 50. It was a buy trade, 153.50. And this was a fast trade, if I remember correctly. We got in at really about almost quarter after 8. And by 8:21, we were already out at 32 something, 33 pips, something like that. 32.5 pips, I think, was the primary trade. Anyway, it all added up to 111.1 pips with the 4 trades auto-scaled in. Was worth another $10.22. The good trade, the big trade, really was on Wednesday, right as we were getting close to the end of the session, around 10:20 or so. We got a good lineup, and the great thing about it is by using any knowledge you have about support and resistance, we had gone well past most areas of support and resistance, and we had a very distant target out there on it was basically an R2 line, I think, or maybe R3 on the 5-0 piv. Pivot line, actually an R line, but the 5-0 piv indicator. And so just stuck it out there with the idea that we probably won't get there, but wherever we finally hit to some price point, we will, we'll slow down and stall out. We'll get out, before we get to 5-0 piv. And for the first 20, 30 minutes of the trade, nothing really happened. And then about 3 minutes before 11, somebody went nuts and started buying, and we shot up about 40 some odd pips, well past my target, and by another additional 30 pips on top of that. So had I not actually set that target, this thing could have been about a 400 pip trade by the time it all shook out. But I got out of it with 182 pips, which worked out to being, I think, 50 on the first trade, and then 40 something on down, the rest of the way. Anyway, it turned out to be a great trade. That was on Wednesday. On, let's see, this is actually Thursday. Go right here. Same thing. We had a sell trade. Picked up about 31 pips, I think it was, on the trade. 110 total, another $10. And then on Friday, yesterday, we had a really nice little trade early on, and picked up another 111 pips. So This is by far a great way to maximize the trades that you win. And I've got some other material out there on AutoScaler, and if you look below the video, there'll be a link to go to the AutoScaler website if you don't have it, if you want to check it out. But there's some videos on that page as well, and we talk about how if a trade moves in your favor and continues to trigger these later trades that are being placed, your original trades are moving into profit. And so the idea is to move a stop loss and lock in some profit as the AutoScaler moves in your favor, as price moves in your favor rather, and AutoScaler continues to trigger the trades, so that if something happens and price reverses and takes you out, you're only looking at losses on the later trades, and usually smaller losses, because the original trades are locked in with either break even or some profit. So you minimize your loss exposure on this, while at the same time maximizing the amount of pips that you can pick up on trades that really take off and move in your direction. As you know, last week was a classic example of that. We didn't know, there were a couple, 3 losing trades in there last week. I'm not going to say it was all, nothing but winners. There were some losers, but they were minor. I think 20, 25 pip total loss exposure on most trades, where our minimum win was 101 pips, and we're winning about one out of 3, between 1 and 3 and 2 and 4. So somewhere between 33 and 50% of is our trade winning. Every week is different. But if you can win 1 out of 3, risk 25 on the first 2, and pick up 100 on the third one, you're moving up 50 pips ahead. That is a great risk-reward ratio. And so anyway, that's what I'm doing, and that's how I'm doing it. It's simple enough. If you don't have Cynthia's trend and flat system, strongly recommended. I mean, the system itself is a very, very good system. But if you can get a hold of that zero lag MACD, which is part of that package, well worth it. And and then we've got our own setups as well that we've added to it, and have just had some tremendous success all week. And I think it's going to continue, because with the turmoil that is in the market, the pound yen particularly, we're seeing a lot more bigger moves, 20, 30, 40 pip moves. And so at one time and in a short period of time as well. And I think that's going to bode well for us over time. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. That's how it's working. If you have any questions, get a hold of me at jeff@simpleforexsystem.net. If you want to check out AutoScaler, the link is below there. I'll put a link in for Cynthia's method as well if you don't have that, because again, I strongly recommend it. It's one of the better ones that I've seen out there, and I mean, you're never going to go wrong when you get anything from her. Okay, I mean, she's a hell of a fine trader, and really puts together some great systems with some good tools. So it's well worth the investment to add her material to your trading toolbox. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the video, and look forward to making more for you later on. We'll talk to y'all soon. Bye-bye.